Dun, 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 dun. There we go. Get that adjusted. Shout outs to Tabletop Audio, of course. I support Tabletop Audio on Patreon because this guy makes some really nice music, and I use it for about everything. So it's only fair. While it is free to use, I don't know. I couldn't not support him. There's so much good stuff there. Not sponsored at all, because if anything, I pay him. All right. Now, where were we? We were in Chapter 1, and let's pick things up. Preparing for adventure. In this chapter, you'll learn the information you need to know as a player to prepare for your first game of Daggerheart. This will walk you through creating a character and provide details around each of the game's classes, ancestries, communities, and domains. Unless you're taking on the role of the GM, the first thing you'll need to do to start playing Daggerheart is create your character. When making this character, you'll be responsible for crafting their physical appearance, personality, and prior experience, as well as their relationships with the other characters. Some of these decisions are purely narrative, meaning they only appear in the game through your role-playing, but others are mechanical choices that affect the actions you're more or less likely to succeed at when rolling your dice. This section guides you through the steps to build your character. You don't need to complete character creation in the order laid out here, but it's advised you choose the class you're playing first. You can accomplish the rest of your character creation in any order you prefer. Ooh, you know how much I like going background first. But that's in D&D, and this isn't D&D. So class may very well encapsulate parts of a backstory, part of the person more than just the what they do. Let's find out. Session 0. It's highly recommended you use your first session together to build characters and talk about the world you're playing in, often called Session 0. It's the best way to ensure the players on the same page. Yep, for all aspects, it's that initial meeting. You get together, you talk about some basic concepts, because, I don't know, you have a friend who really wanted to play a pirate and was under the impression that you were playing a nautical campaign. And it turns out that you are in the middle of a desert, and it's one that doesn't even have wind, so you can't even sail across the sands. This is a good way to get some of the jitters out and talk, do some world building, and really help get yourselves into the game that you're going to play. Talk about character concepts, get a character sheet and guide. As you begin creating your character, you'll use a character sheet and character guide to record your decisions and abilities. So make sure you have paper or digital copies of the sheets available to you before you begin. You can see a completed character sheet in the example character section. Note that there is not a single generic character sheet or guide for you to use. They are all customized for the class you are playing. You can find these available for download online, or you can copy them from the section pending in the book. Remember, this is a play test. There are going to be things that are incomplete. So this isn't some, this is supposed to be professional, but this is dipping toes in the water, gauging reaction of people, see if there's anything that's super glaring, and the polish and the references, everything will be there. All right, you start at level 1 in Daggerheart, as you do. At any point in the character creation process, feel free to fill out your character's other stuff. This is a standard issue. You know what? Should I get a character? Do they have a character sheet that I can open up? That might be very good for going over. That might be good for going over some of this stuff. Hang on, everyone. Is it in the back? Look at me being a prepared streamer. Let me see if I can find one online real quick, and I can open it up in a window next to it here. Daggerheart character sheet. One moment, everyone, as I get this. Let me get this opened up here. That way we can see also what is being referred to. Okay, let's try this again. Now, this is only part here. I'll see if I can get it to scroll. The other thing is scrolling so I can keep it super zoomed in and large for you. Otherwise, I'll have to zoom this out in order to get it's just one sheet. But we can see up here some of the info. All right, let's get back to it. All the way back up to the top. Bleep, blip, 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 blip. Oh, was that? Well, that's one that's an example that's filled out here. Dun, 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 dun. All right, record level. Here we go. Choose your class. The first step of character creation is to choose the class you want to play. Then take the character sheet and character guide that corresponds to that class. You will utilize both throughout the process. Each class is an archetype of a character that determines what abilities you have access to throughout the campaign. For example, you might choose to play the Guardian if you want to be the tank of your group who runs into fights head first and protects others with their own life. You might choose to be a wizard if you want to use unique spells to solve problems, heal party members, and fight off threats. Once you've chosen a class and taken the appropriate character sheet and guide, you'll also choose a subclass. Take that subclass's foundation card into your hand. The subclasses are subsets of each class that help further define the kind of character you're playing. Every class begins with a unique class feature or several. You don't have to write this down. It's already provided in the bottom left of that class's character sheet. These are unique features available only to your class, so be sure to consider them when building your character. If your class feature asks you to make a selection during character creation, make sure you select one of the options before you transition into your first session. This book details each class feature in its respective class section. All Alright, the available classes and subclasses in the base set include the following. You can learn more about each of these classes and their foundations in the upcoming section. Bard, you could be a wordsmith or a troubadour. Play the wordsmith if you want to use clever wordplay and captivate crowds, or the troubadour if you want to play music to bolster your allies. Big Slam, hello, and also hi, Diadems. The thing I like about Daggerheart, says Big Slam, is the attribute array. Much more balanced, in my opinion, to D&D. Well, I guess we'll get to that shortly, as I don't know what it is yet. I don't disbelieve you, but I just don't know personally. A druid. Play a Warden of the Elements if you want to embody the aspects of nature, or play the Warden of Renewal if you want to use powerful magic to heal your party members. A Guardian, a Stalwart Guardian if you want to take heavy blows and keep fighting, or a Vengeance Guardian if you want to strike down the enemies and that harm you or your allies. A Wayfinder Ranger if you want to hunt your prey using deadly force, or Beastbound if you want to form a deep bond with an animal ally. A Seraph, a Winged Sentinel Seraph if you want to take flight and strike crushing blows from the sky, or a Divine Wielder Seraph if you want to dominate the battlefield with a legendary weapon. A Nightwalker Rogue if you want to use the manipulation of shadows to maneuver through your environment, or a Syndicate Rogue if you want to have useful contacts everywhere you go. A Primal Origin Sorcerer if you want to extend the versatility of your spells in powerful ways, or an Elemental Origin Sorcerer if you want to channel raw magic to take the shape of a particular element. A Slayer Warrior if you want to strike down adversaries with incredible power, or a Call of the Brave, or Call of the Slayer Warrior, or a Call of the Brave Warrior if you want to use the might of your enemies to fuel you. A School of Knowledge Wizard if you want to have a keen understanding of the world around you, or a School of War Wizard if you want to utilize trained magic to enact violence. Evil laugh is mine. Next, choose your character's heritage. This is their ancestry and community. A character's ancestry reflects their lineage and impacts the way they physically look, as well as granting them a unique ability from their ancestry. Take the card for one of the following ancestries, then write its name in the heritage field of your character sheet. Clank, Damon, Dracona, Dwarf, Elf, Fairy, Faun, Furbolg, Fungrel, Galapa, Gigante, Goblin, Halfling, Human, Katari, Orc, Ribbit, or a Simia. Then choose your community. Next, you'll choose a community from the available community cards. Your character's community informs the culture they grew up in and might also play a part in the way they look, act, or approach situations. Communities can be influenced by details such as their physical location, values, and goal. Each community also comes with a mechanical benefit that you'll be able to utilize during the game. Take the card for one of the following communities, then write its name in the heritage field. Highborn, Loreborn, Orderborn, Ridgeborn, Seaborn, Slyborn, Underborn, Wanderborn, or Wildborn. Parunga, hello! Good to see you. Welcome, welcome to chat here. Also, let me recenter myself. There we go. In Daggerheart, you're not asked to pick specific languages for your character. The game assumes that everyone speaks a common language. It's up to you whether that's through mundane or magic means, and that sign language is widely understood across cultures and communities. If you'd like to have a specific regional language in your campaign, talk about it with your table. Next, you'll assign values to the character traits on your character sheet. These values reflect your natural or trained ability in each of the core 6 stats: agility, strength, finesse, knowledge, instinct, and presence. The verbs after each trait, such as sprint, leap, maneuver, are examples of the actions you might take that would involve that trait. These words are just inspiration, and they don't limit what that trait might be used for. So agility, sprinting, leaping, maneuvering. A high agility score means you're faster on your feet, nimbler on difficult terrain, and quicker to react to danger. You'll roll with agility to scurry up a rope quickly, sprint to cover, or bound from rooftop to rooftop. Strength, lift, smash, grapple. A high strength score means you're better at feats that test your physical prowess and bodily fortitude. You'll roll with strength to break through a door, lift heavy objects, or hold your ground against a charging foe. Finesse. A high finesse score means you're dexterous and accurate. You'll roll with finesse for tasks that require fine motor control, being precise, careful, and quiet, like using fine tools, escaping notice, or striking with an exacting aim. Instinct. A high instinct score means you have a keen sense of your surroundings and a natural intuition. You'll roll with instinct to sense danger, notice details in the world around you, or track an elusive foe. A high presence score means you have a strong force of personality and a facility with social situations. You'll roll with presence to plead your case, intimidate a foe, or get all eyes on you. Knowledge. A high knowledge score means you know information others don't and understand how to apply your mind through deduction and inference. You'll roll with knowledge to interpret facts, see the patterns clearly, or remember important information. Now if we come over here, if we take a look, yep. So at the top here, agility, strength, finesse, instinct, presence, knowledge. And here are some different, the guidelines, right? Now they were talking about. Trait modifiers are the values associated with each trait. When you make an action roll using one of these traits, that trait's modifier adjusts the roll's final result by that number. Distribute the following starting modifiers across your character traits in any order you wish. +2, +1, +1, 0, 0, -1. A fairly straightforward spread. When distributing these modifiers, consider what actions you want to be good at, what weapon you want to use during your attacks, and what kind of spell casting you'll be doing, if any. We'll cover weapons and spells in future sections, but if you don't know how to distribute your stats, you may always refer to the character guide for suggested stats. You can also change these stats around as needed during character creation, as well as after your first few sessions of play if you feel like you made a wrong decision. Purunga, this is 1.3. I didn't look at any of the prior material, so I don't have a frame of reference to discuss the differences. But this download did include a change log that specifically notes what has changed from then until now. It's time to take a quick break from making choices and instead fill out a few sections of your character sheet. Your evasion score reflects how hard it is for enemies to hit you. Your class's starting evasion score appears right beneath the evasion field on your character sheet. Record this in the evasion field. When an enemy makes an attack against your character, the GM rolls against your evasion score to see if they are successful. Each character's evasion may look different within the narrative. A wizard may avoid blows with shimmering arcane shields, or by batting away an adversary's spells, while a ranger nimbly dodges out of the way of blows, and a warrior employs a mix of parries, blocks, and dodges. Hit points and stress points. Your character's health and well-being are represented by hit points and stress points. Hit points, sometimes called HP, are an abstract reflection of your physical fortitude and ability to take hits, both from blade and from magic. Stress points reflect your ability to withstand the pressures of dangerous situations and mental strain. You can describe your hit points and stress points any way you wish, but they generally represent your character's ability to get knocked down and keep coming back. You'll mark your hit points and stress points when these situations arise. The fewer marks you have against them, the better. And let's explore that. As you can see here, hit points and stress points. Your class has a certain damage threshold, indicating how much damage you can endure before marking each hit point. Find your class's starting damage threshold at the top of the hit points and stress section of your character sheet. Record these three numbers in the corresponding fields. In the hit points and damage thresholds section of Chapter 2, you'll learn how many hit points to mark on your character sheet each time the GM tells you to take damage. Hope is a currency that represents the way fate can turn in your character's favor during the game. You'll start with 2 hope at character creation. Mark these in the hope section of your character sheet. Anytime you, quote, roll with hope, unquote, on your duality dice, meaning your hope die rolled higher than your fear die, you gain an additional hope to a maximum of 6, period. During the game, you can spend your hope to help allies, apply your life experiences to challenges, and empower your spells and abilities. If you instead roll with fear on your duality dice... Uh-oh. Hunter?
Tentacle triple pack. Good, sir.
Right here. I got them for you. And I will get these packed up and sent out to you, my friend. Thank you. And of course the angel as well. That hope and fear. If you instead roll fear on your duality dice, meaning your fear die rolled higher than your hope die, the GM records this in their notes, and they can later spend that fear on certain effects. Sometimes a fear roll also introduces other complications into a scene, even if you succeed on your roll. There is a game that I played that had something similar to this called 7th Sea. Now, this was a version of 7th Sea. This was their D10, their D10 keep system, and you had panache that you could spend to enhance a roll. Now, what would happen is your panache dice would be given to the GM, who then so you got first dibs as the player. But that would build a pool of panache for the GM to use against you in certain situations. So it was it's a fun kind of a fluid currency to have something along these lines. All right, choose your starting equipment. Choose your weapons. You can use physical weapons to attack your foes, and if you have a spellcasting trait, such as from your subclass, you can also wield magic weapons. At character creation, you can choose one primary weapon and one secondary weapon, then equip them if you wish. Note that if you choose a primary weapon that requires both hands, you won't be able to equip your secondary weapon at the same time. You can find weapon suggestions at the top of your character guide, but if you'd like to choose on your own, you can find all starting Tier 0 weapons in primary weapons tables and secondary weapons tables in Chapter 2. These are also available as a separate sheet to print out for your table. At level 1, your damage proficiency is 1. This means you'll generally roll 1 damage die for your weapon attacks. In the active weapons section of your character sheet, this is recorded in the proficiency field. When you equip weapons on your character, record their details in that section as well. As we're talking about this, let's see, so that cuts off, so there's hope. Spend hope to use an experience or help an ally. Primary and secondary weapons. Let's see, is there a way I could get this to scroll for you all? Maybe if I zoomed in on it. Select text. That can go a little bit further down. There. I'm losing it a little bit here. All right. Well, you're gonna have to trust me. From here on out. I don't have a convenient way to... I can have it set up for tomorrow's workshop, but I don't want to sit here on camera and fidget and get the spare sheet the spare sheet up just yet here. Yeah, I do have that here, Hunter. That was off to the side when I was cleaning everything out to get the office rearranged. So you'll have that coming out to you. Purunga says, I love the duality dice system. One of the biggest changes I see with the overhaul has to do with stress tokens. Prior to 1.3, if damage dealt to you didn't meet your minimum damage threshold, you would take a stress point instead. It seems now that nothing happens if your threshold isn't met. I think this changes a lot. I'll have to trust you because I have no idea how it used to be, Purunga. However, for people who did, don't let my ignorance keep you from commenting on changes like this, because there's probably people either present or who might be watching later on YouTube or something, and hearing from people who might have a better knowledge of what was before and what it was changed into could be a good thing for them to consider, or very conversational. Hunter, I will have to check for you. I can do that after the workshop. Can you send me a DM about that on Discord, and I can make sure to... I'll use it as a sticky note, and I'll get back to you on that. And then choose your armor. You can use armor to reduce incoming damage from attacks. At character creation, you can choose one piece of armor and equip it if you wish. You can find armor suggestions at the top of your character guide, but if you'd like to choose your own, you can find all starting Tier 0 armor under Armor Tables in Chapter 2. When you equip armor on your character, record its details in the active armor section of your character sheet. Then in the armor box at the top left of your character sheet, record your armor score. Your armor score includes your armor's base values plus any permanent bonuses you have to your armor from other abilities. When you take damage, you can fill a box next to your armor score, then reduce the damage by your armor score. You can even check multiple boxes to negate more damage from a single attack. Your inventory can include most anything else you're carrying with you. The top of your character guide, the top of your character guide lists all your starting inventory items, including the following: a torch, 50 feet of rope, basic supplies, 2 coins of gold, your choice of a minor health potion or a minor stamina potion. Finally, the and either option on your character guide is specific to your class. You might also be asked to choose what you carry your spells in. Record these items in the inventory section of your character sheet. You can be creative with how you use these items, though this is subject to GM discretion. In general, your equipment is available for you to use during your adventures in any way that fits your shared story. You may also talk to your GM about any other items you'd like to have at the start of the game. In general, items that don't provide a mechanical benefit and that make sense for the character you're playing should be permitted. And there aren't rules limiting your inventory to a certain size, but your GM always makes the final call. Uh-oh, did we have another bot? Man, Discord and, Discord and Twitch has been swarming with these things. Remember, everyone, you click on the name, click on the vertical 3 dots, and hit report. Then you can report spam, scams, or bots. And it's in chat. We'll say soliciting chat with a link to buy channel enhancement services. Submit report. Blue Joy said earlier too, just you can also copy the bot's name, and if you have timestamps on, name, timestamp in the message, highlight it, Control C and Control V, and that in your report. Oh, and another one too. All right, well, let's practice this here. We're gonna hit the 3, hit report again. We're gonna go into spam, scams, and bots. We're going into bots. We're hitting next. Submit report. There we go. Nice and easy. Yeah, oh, you're eating good tonight, Belladonna. You're eating good tonight as the mod. I read that for X or Twitter to start reducing this, there's going to be something like a $1 charge if you want your account to be able to reply. And the reason for that is it's just inconvenient enough that as these bot farmers are churning out their bots, every bot they lose, they had to pay $1 to get nuked out from replies and everything. So it does make it more expensive to you know, you spam around and you find out, I guess. So all right, let's move on here. Choosing other starting items. Okay, no, we got that part. Create your background. Next, explore your character's background by filling out the background section of your character guide. Several prompts are provided to jumpstart inspiration, but you or the GM can modify or change these questions to fit the character you are looking to play. Think of the prompts as a jumping off point if you don't know where to start, but they should never inhibit your creativity. The decisions you make about your background are purely narrative, but they can deeply impact the kind of character you're playing and the story the GM might prepare for your adventures. Over the course of character creation, feel free to adjust some mechanical choices you've made in earlier steps, allowing them to better reflect this background as the shape of your character comes into clearer focus. If you are planning to play in a campaign, once you finish the background questions, you can continue developing your character in whatever way works best for you. There are many character backstory tools you may wish to use. Just remember to give the GM your backstory as well, so that they can work any people, places, or ideas from it into the campaign they're running. You may choose not to do any more background work, instead finding out more about your character as you play. Whatever you find fun and allows you to play your character in a way that feels appealing and exciting is what you should do, or lean into. In Daggerheart, your experience is one of the core ways you'll express your character's backstory and expertise through mechanics. An experience is a word or phrase used to encapsulate a specific set of skills your character might have because of the exciting life they've lived. You start with 2 experiences at character creation, one with a +2 modifier, the other with a +1. And you'll earn more. Oh, brilliant. Well, thank you. Also, hi DQ, welcome. You start with 2 experiences. Okay, yeah, we had that, and you'll earn more throughout your adventures. Before choosing, you'll want to have a solid idea of who your character is. The backstory questions are especially helpful with this. When you're ready, work with your GM to pick 2 experiences that have shaped your character. There's no set list of experiences to choose from, though some examples are offered below. Instead, choose a word or phrase that embodies something distinctive about your character. Each experience should be specific. For example, talented or focused are too broad, as they can be applied to almost any situation. Instead, you might use swashbuckler or magic studies. Additionally, your experience can't give you spells or specific game abilities. For example, take flight or one-hit kill are too mechanically oriented. You might consider acrobatics or assassin instead. You are also encouraged to add flavor to your experience to give it more varied use and play. For example, instead of just assassin, you could choose something like Assassin of the Sapphire Syndicate. This kind of detail gives your GM an exciting faction to weave into the campaign, and also makes it easier to use this experience outside combat. For example, if you encounter an ally of the Syndicate, you might be particularly adept at negotiating with them based on your experience. So here are some examples. Bodyguard, con artist, merchant, noble, pirate. Various characteristics: affable, intimidating presence, lone wolf, friend to all, coward. Specialties like magical historian, navigator, inventor. Skills like barter, repair, liar, fast learner. Phrases like chef to the royal family, knowledge is power, no one left behind, fake it till you make it. Once you've worked with the GM to decide what your 2 starting experiences are, record them in the experience section of your character sheet. Assign +2 to one, likely the one that's most impacted you, and +1 to the other. So a note about refining your choice there. Anytime you make an action roll, if you feel like an experience could help you succeed, you can spend a hope to add its modifier to your roll. Sometimes you might feel like more than one of your experiences is a good fit for the situation. For example, if you're trying to sneak past a guard in the dark and your experiences include I live in the shadows and stealthy. If it fits the story, you can apply more than one experience modifier to a roll, spending a hope for each. You'll have the opportunity to gain new experiences as you gain levels. But you're also not stuck with the ones you've already chosen. If you later discover during play that an experience you previously chose isn't feeling right anymore... wait. My cadence was off on that sentence. But you're also not stuck with the ones you've already chosen. If you later discover during play that an experience you previously chose isn't feeling right anymore. For example, the GM might notice that the way you're using the experience isn't a good fit for your group's collaborative story, or you might feel one of the choices you made doesn't match how you've come to understand your character. That's totally okay. When you or your GM realize this, work together to find the experiences that best reflect that kind of character you're intending to play, and the kind of actions that character would be good at because of their history and perspective. Domains are the core building blocks of a class in Daggerheart. In the core rulebook, they consist of Arcana, Blade, Bone, Codex, Grace, Midnight, Sage, Splendor, and Valor. Each domain has a domain deck, a deck of cards that contains a set of abilities and spells with a central theme or focus. For details on what each domain represents and how to use your domain cards, see the upcoming domain section. Each class in Daggerheart is formed by combining two of these domains. For example, the Warrior is Blade and Bone. The Druid is Sage and Arcana. The Rogue is Midnight and Grace. The combination is noted on the top of your character sheet, and the colors and symbols are found on your class foundation card. To create your new character, look at all of the level 1 cards from your class's 2 domains and choose 2 to begin the game, returning the rest to their respective decks. You might take 1 from each domain or choose 2 from a single domain. Whatever you prefer, these cards grant you special spells and abilities. You'll be able to choose another each time you gain a level. I see how they're using that as a level up mechanic. You've almost finished creating your character. Now it's time to forge your connections. These represent the relationships and personal history between you and the rest of your party members. Once all players feel comfortable with their finished or almost finished characters, summarize your characters for each other. At minimum, share your name, pronouns, character description, experience, and the answers to your background questions, but feel free to include other details you'd like other players to know. Once everyone has shared who they'll be playing, work together to decide how your characters are connected and how you feel about each other. The connections section of your character guide provides inspiration for these connections. It is recommended you pick at least one question to ask another PC, but you're welcome to create new questions. You can always turn down a question or relationship from another player if it's not a good fit or not a relationship you're interested in exploring. While it's great to create connections with every player, it's perfectly okay if you're not sure about some of them yet. You can always discover your relationships through play. These connections are just a starting block to build on during the game. Wolf Queen says, I like that experience change. I guess that's experiences change. It's something lacking in D&D. Once you pick XYZ, you're mostly stuck with it. Yeah, as a house rule, that's why throughout a campaign, I like offering those kind of a respecking break in order to adjust things. It's something that we did in Chroma Company. It's something I've done in my personal games as well. Parunga says the experience facet was one of my favorite things about the game too. I think it's cool and flavorful. After connections are complete, you're ready to play. The remainder of Chapter 1 contains resources to use when building your character, such as information on domains, classes, ancestries, and communities. Chapter 2 presents the rules you'll use to play the game. And then, higher level characters will come about later. Let's worry about building a character at all first, right? Example character. This section provides an example of how a finished character sheet might look. If you'd rather not go through all the steps of character creation, feel free to use the details on this sheet as inspiration. Alright, so we have the standard array of things here. I scrolled out of the document here. Celtic Lady says, I think this system works pretty well, forging bonds between characters even before the game starts. Helps prevent a party of lone wolves. Yeah, and of course a session 0 can help out with that as well. This does very actively encourage this kind of conversation to see if there are links formed between the party members already. But every table's going to be different, so if it works, it works. Belladonna says, yeah, in my current game, one of my players multi-classed while influenced by a cursed sword. Now that the sword was destroyed, they want to respect back to a single. Yeah, and that makes sense. It's great storytelling to be able to do something like that. Alright, so yeah, we see on the Sorcerer, Arcana and Midnight, Evasion and Armor, the Experienced Royal Mage and Not on My Watch, indicating things that this character would be good at doing. Various coins. Weapon takes 2 hands, so those are colored in here. And this is the Sorcerer character guide to help give you a boost in a particular direction with it. So these are all things that you can scroll through and look over. Let's see. Suggested traits for the array, suggested primary weapon, suggested armor. Inventory, character description. The background questions, some various prompts that you can use. What did you do that made the people in your community wary of you? What mentor taught you to control your untamed magic, and why are they no longer able to guide you? You have a deep fear you hide from everyone. What is it, and why does it scare you? Why do you trust me so deeply as for a connection? What did I do that makes you cautious around me? Why do we keep our shared past a secret? At level 2, take an additional experience. When you level up, record it on your character sheet. Then choose 2 available options from the list below and mark them. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Domains are the core themes that make up each class. The combination of 2 domains forms the basis for each class's abilities and spells, which you'll gain from your domain cards. Below, you'll find explanations for each of the 9 domains. Arcana is a domain that uses the innate or instinctual use of magic. Those who walk this path tap into the raw, enigmatic forces of the realm to manipulate both the elements and their own energy. Arcana offers wielders of volatile power, but it is incredibly potent when correctly channeled. This is the domain of those who dedicate their lives to the mastery of weapons. Whether by blade, bow, or perhaps a more specialized arm, those who follow this path have the skill to cut short the lives of others. Blade requires study and dedication from its followers in exchange for an inexorable power over death. Bone. This is the domain of mastery of swiftness and tactical mastery. Practitioners of this domain have an uncanny control over their own physical abilities and an eye for predicting the behaviors of others in combat. Bone grants It's in its adherents, unparalleled understanding of bodies and their movements in this exchange for diligent training. Codex. This is the domain of intensive magical study. Those who seek magical knowledge turn to the recipes of power recorded in books, on scrolls, etched into walls, or tattooed on bodies. Codex offers a commanding and versatile understanding of magic to those devotees who are willing to seek beyond the common knowledge. Grace. This is the domain of charisma. Through rapturous storytelling, clever charm, or a shroud of lies, those who channel this power define the realities of their adversaries, bending perception to their will. Grace offers its wielders raw magnetism and mastery over language. Midnight. This is the domain of shadows and secrecy. Whether by clever tricks or cloak of night, those who channel these forces are practiced in that art of obscurity, and there is nothing hidden they cannot reach. Midnight offers practitioners the incredible power to control and create enigmas. Sage. This is the domain of the natural world. Those who walk this path tap into the unfettered power of the earth and its creatures to unleash raw magic. Sage grants its adherents the vitality of a blooming flower and ferocity of a hungry predator. Splendor. This is the domain of life. Through this magic, followers gain the ability to heal, though such power also grants the wielder some control over death. Splendor offers its disciples the magnificent ability to both give and end life. And valor. This is the domain of protection, whether through attack or defense. Those who choose this discipline channel formidable strength to protect their allies in battle. Valor offers great power to those who raise their shield in the defense of others. At character creation, and as your character levels up, you'll gain increasingly powerful domain cards, which provide abilities and spells you can utilize during your adventures. Each domain card is composed of 5 elements: level, domain, recall cost, type, and effect. Okay, so these are the cards that you're playing during the role-playing game for your character. Level and domain, yeah. So you see the symbol and the level, recall cost, the top right of the card. Lists a number next to a lightning bolt symbol. This is the card's recall cost. Once you reach level 5, you'll have more cards than you do space in your loadout. When you want to move a card from your vault to your loadout, you'll either need to do so during downtime or mark the number of stress indicated on the card to swap it immediately. Each card's type appears in the center of the card. There are 3 types of domain cards: abilities, spells, and grimoires. Abilities are typically mundane in nature as opposed to spells, which are magical in nature. Grimoires are unique to the Codex domain and are a collection of smaller spells bundled together. Some game mechanics only apply to one of these types of cards. The text on the bottom half of the card describes its effect, including any special rules you need to follow when you use that card. Some of your domain cards provide moves you can make, like a unique attack or a spell that you cast. Others may be passive benefits that always apply while you hold that domain card. There are also domain cards that provide additional options during downtime or social encounters, while others give a but I can see the 4th edition influence here. Others give a one-time benefit, then are removed from the game. Unless a card states otherwise, you don't remove it from your loadout after you benefit from it. You can use most cards in your loadout as many times as you wish. Some domain cards have an exhaustion limit that restricts how often you can use that card, for example, once per long rest. If you use that card, you'll need a way to remember that it's temporarily unavailable. You might choose to take that card out of your hand and place it face down on the table, turn it around, or any other method to remind yourself that you've already used it. If a card allows for a certain number of uses, you could place a token on it each time it's activated to remind yourself how many times you've done so. You can only have a maximum of 5 domain cards active at any one time, along with your subclass, ancestry, and community cards. At lower levels, you won't have enough cards for this to be an issue, but once you reach level 5 and above, you'll need to choose which domain cards to keep in your loadout and which to store in your vault. Cards in your loadout can be held in your hand or placed on the table next to your character sheet. Do whatever makes it easiest to access them. Any cards in your loadout are considered active and can be utilized or benefited from during play. Your vault holds any domain cards that are inactive and not currently in your loadout. Vault cards should be kept somewhere out of the way, but close enough that they're available if they need to be accessed during a session. If you want to switch a card from your vault in your loadout, you can do so by marking stress equal to the vaulted card's recall cost. When you do, switch it for another domain card, placing the previous loadout card into your vault. If adjusting your loadout during combat or when the action tracker is in use, you must also use an action to switch cards, and thus can't do so while a GM is making a move. If adjusting your loadout during a short or long rest, you don't need to pay the recall cost. Similarly, if your loadout is full when you level up and gain a new card, you can immediately move one of the previously active cards into your vault and add the new card to your current loadout at no cost. If an effect tells you to place a card permanently in your vault, that card is essentially removed from play. You can't move such a card back into your loadout by any means. Okay, so different damage thresholds, starting evasion score, you get your domains, it's listed here. I will get into it. I will say I enjoyed 4th edition. And for something like this, for the different powers and such, my table ended up using a 9-pocket page, such that you'd find collectors of, like magic cards and Yu-Gi Mons and such, because you can mark on it with a dry erase or a wet erase marker as well if you've used a power. I guess so. There's a lot of components here to test out, and I will be doing so because I'm curious about the system. My personal interest in the system right now is not high. I don't want to play a card game while I'm role playing. I don't want that to. I'm stating that here because I don't want that to end up being some sort of a bias that it carries through, or I don't know, like I just have a sour look on my face. Once I hit this part of the system, my interest in it is dropping tremendously. But I also liked 4th edition for what it was. And you know what? The difference here could well be that one of the big criticisms, and this was something that even came to mind when I was reading this, is that 4th edition felt like a video game, a lot of people said. It didn't feel like an open world, pen and paper adventure. This feels like a video game where everyone has a very samey starting loadout, and you load into the mechanics that are set, and you carry forward. I'm sure that a lot more flavor will be brought out outside of the playtest material. This is only meant to get an idea across. So I do get that, you know, this is... Oh, yeah, Lucius, so that's not for a giveaway. It was for a particular purchase of minis. So I'll have to reset it. But yes, Hunter does have some minis coming his way. Yeah, and after FOV, if you think even 5th Ed feels more like a video game, I haven't heard that as much. Have I heard that at all? As I have with 4th. There are certain tonal indicators in this, that is very... It does stress the story, but what is coming out right now, I'm getting a lot more like video game character in a plastic world of just go on the path of adventure and complete the adventure. I have not at all finished reading this book, and this is not a final judgment. But after we've hit this point, I wanted to provide some initial commentary, some initial thoughts that I'm having regarding the system. So these may very well play tightly together, and everything is a well-oiled machine, and everything it's smooth. It works. At this point, on my first impression, I'm happy to continue exploring it, to look it over. If I'm considering purchasing a car, I can make up my mind quickly about not wanting to buy it, but I might still want to learn about it to at least satisfy a curiosity. So I'm very happy to continue exploring this, and I will, with as open a mind as possible and an earnest desire to overcome this initial hesitation. But I really feel that I've hit a speed bump in my personal. Some of you out there may absolutely adore this. And that's fine, because it's up to you to have fun with the system, you and your friends. Right now, this is not calling for me. This does not feel like a compelling system for me to play. I don't want to have to shuffle and vault cards and do all this other stuff when playing through a role-playing game. Yeah, look, I would like to think that I gave Kingdom Come Deliverance the best chance I could, to the point where I absolutely I hit a wall and I recognized that it bothered me, and I turned it off, I uninstalled the game, and I walked away from it. And I had it was a beautiful game. It was gorgeous with fantastic music. But there were elements to the gameplay that I didn't have fun with. And if I'm not having fun playing a game, why am I playing it? So I'm going to carry that forward, but if I didn't bring up my initial hesitations, or if you're watching, you might say, he hits certain parts and maybe he squints, or he has a kind of a sour look on his face. This was me trying to comprehend what is put out there. And not that it's complex, but right now, at the end of chapter 1 of many pages in this book, I don't think Daggerheart is a game for me. Now, I'm one person on this earth. And I am not here to influence you to or not to play this game or any others. So I will still read through this as I have with the others. Of the recent ones that we've gone over, I think this has some innovation to it. There's elements I really like. Man, hitting all this card stuff, and there's games like Slay the Spire, and I look at that and it's card management, it's ability management, and I don't want a deck building game while I'm trying to role play. Or to have kind of a video game mechanic or something involved. Now, that could change. There might be an aspect that I have yet to read, and it changes everything. Because all this did in Chapter 1 was just put a concept out there to look at. But I haven't turned it around to appreciate the facets of it. I understand Purunga, and I'm fine considering it like that. Like a prepared spell, which you can swap out, right, as a cleric or something. I've played clerics and wizards before who have that sort of thing. Have I played a druid in a while? I don't know if I've played a druid in a while. Yeah, so Belladonna is not certain yet either. So I think the only thing to do is to push forward and to continue exploring the system. But let's take another break here. We're gonna leave off at this section here when we're going over elements of each of the classes, the domains that influence the cards, the abilities that they get, starting evasion scores, their damage thresholds, various items, other things for building the character. So maybe we can even pick up here and we can go into detail. Like we saw the example sorcerer. Maybe we can start here and move forward. So let's get up, let's stretch, and we'll continue pushing forward with an open mind. And let's see how this works together. Because this isn't just a stranger on the street going, how about this? Like, you don't know this person. You don't know how much they've tested this or thought about it. This could end up being the most fun game that I've ever contemplated and maybe even played before. Right now, I'm not having a good first impression. Let's see if that changes. Be right back, everyone.